Hello and welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
I'm Chris Costa.
So Chris, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, we have a new feature for an outside service custom component. I thought maybe we could take a look at that one.
Sure, that's a great idea. As you said, it's a new ability to create a component that you get to name. So as opposed to the standard component types that we have in our system. And it is strictly for an outside service.
Okay. Yeah, if we could take a look at one, that'd be great.
Sure. All right, so the first thing you would need to do to set up one of these new outside service components is you need to go to, under the Utilities menu, the Custom Component Type. Now when I click on that, I get this new window where I can add a custom component. Now, I just want to take a minute to explain that you can have a custom component built for you, either contracting us to develop it for you or having maybe an outside developer develop it for you. But and that would require the custom programming if you wanted that component type to be something other than an outside service. If you want to create a custom component strictly for doing an outside service, we've added that ability. That's this new feature, so that you can create it without having any programming done.
Super.
Okay? So what I'm going to do here, I've got a couple already in my database. I have one called, I just did a generic outside service. I have one I called t-shirts for doing outside order t-shirts. So let's add a third one. And say I want to do one for our promotional items in general. I can just type in promotional items if that's what I want to call it. And then in the drop down for the base component type, here I would choose outsource. This is the only one that doesn't require any custom programming. I click OK. It adds it to the system. And there it is. Now I'm able to use that custom component.
Okay. Can we take a look at how one might work with an estimate?
Sure. So let's go in estimating and do that.
Okay.
So I'm going to open up estimating order entry. And I'll start off as an estimate. So I'm going to switch to estimates. And then I'm going to click on add to add a new estimate. All right, so we'll do, say we're going to do a t-shirt. So I'm going to say t-shirt is my job description. I'll select a customer. The same way I would anything else. And now when I go to click add to add the component, you'll notice when we scroll down, I'll see all three of my custom component types here at the end of the list of the standard ones that we have. So I have my outside service, I have my promotional items, I have my t-shirts. I'm going to go to the t-shirt one and I'm going to click OK. Now basically this outside service component type will give you all the fields that are typically in our outside service component, which you would get to by, not outside service component, outside service process, excuse me, where you would get to through either a generic component or maybe a sheet fed component. Where you go to the processes tab, then you got to go down to outside service, and then you click add. But it's a little, you've got to go through some screens to get there. So now you can add it. It gives you all the fields on the left-hand side for the outside service, but then you also have 30 user-defined fields on the right-hand side that you can set up for whatever you want.
Okay. So it's a lot like our mailing component.
It is, very similar. Yep, but it's all on one screen, which is nice.
Yeah, okay, good.
So let's come back to the estimate. So you can see here I have some of the same fields that I have in an outside service. I also have the ability to create or pull from a template, so I can make templates for these. I can select my supplier. So I'll just grab any supplier here. And I'll put in my short description, my detail or instructions, which is the same as the instructions on the outside service. So I'll just say here, I'll just call them vendor instructions. Now down the bottom here, I can enter the quantity that I'm ordering. So say I want to order 5,000 t-shirts. I can put in a unit cost here of what each t-shirt costs, or I can do, and to the right here is my unit of measure. So I can do it as per each or per M or a fixed cost. So let's put that in as a per each cost and say they're going to be $2 each. And then maybe I have a setup cost or some kind of fixed cost or a handling fee from my vendor, so I can put that in as well, just like I can in an outside service. And then I can also mark this up. And this is the markup it will apply to these costs to sell to my vendor. my customer. I can also put in a manual cost override if I want as well, like I can on any component. At the bottom of the screen, I also have your due dates and proof due dates like you would on any component. And then you see to the right there, I have 4 user-defined fields here that I can define to be whatever I want. I have, as I said, up to 30. The user-defined fields will display here if I've given them a name. If I haven't, they won't, just like the mailing component.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so let me complete this particular order. So say I'm ordering small t-shirts. I've got a user-defined field here for color. I've got one for material, and I've got one for a design. Now to the right, I can calculate like I can any component. And it will calculate based on the $2 per item here, plus my $20 setup fee, and then my 30% markup. Okay, so I can save that component. Lets me know that there's an outside service. So I'm going to save this estimate, and I'll leave this open. Let's quickly go over to file maintenance. I'm going to show you where you define those user-defined fields. So I'm going to go up to File and down to User-Defined Fields like I would for any user-defined field. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll find the option here for Custom Components, and I'll see all of my custom component types here. I can highlight each one, and I can set user-defined fields here particular to each component type.
Good.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Great.
Can we see how that might look on a job ticket?
Sure. All right, so let's go back to my estimate. I'll close out of here. Go back to the estimate. Let's first take a quick look at the quote. So I'm going to print out the quote. And you see it looks like any component. I have my component information and I have my quantities here. It does not show the user-defined fields here, but they could be added to this report like any report can be customized. So now I'm going to convert this to an order. Click Proceed. Click OK. Now it brings it into an order. I can save this order. And we'll print the job ticket. Now this job ticket actually shows the user-defined fields. Kind of like our mailing component. That's not something you have to customize for the job ticket. It automatically shows the user-defined fields.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Does this information feed the RFP or the PO at all, by any chance?
Well, you can create an RFP. You can create a purchase order just like you would for any outside service. And again, the user-defined fields don't automatically print on those reports because you may or may not want certain ones on the report, but it can be customized to add them.
Okay.
So let's just create a quick PO on that.
Sure.
So I'm going to close the job ticket, and we'll close here. We'll go down to the requisition screen here. And if I click the radio button for View Outside Services, I see my outside service. I can create the rec, and then from here create the purchase order. So just like any outside service, creates the purchase order with the order quantity and the unit cost for the order quantity, and then I have a line for the fixed cost, and then it will total it at the bottom. But again, the user-defined fields don't automatically print, but of course they can be added to the report.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And I could save that outside service as a template if I wanted to.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Just like any component template.
So blue, small, cotton, I could make that a template.
Correct.
Save it.
With
Okay.
the user-defined fields, yes.
Right. Good. Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have any other
great.
questions?
No, I think that's good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
I'm Chris Costa.
Please look forward for more to come.